SWOT is sales methods split in 4 stages. Those 4 stages are built to allow you to earn trust quickly and quicker than you will with other sales methodologies. But they're also built to do one thing that other sales methodologies don't do very well, which is SWOT allows you to position yourself against not just your competitors, but against also past attempts that clients might have tried in the past with something similar to what you sell. The 4 stages of SWOT are influence diagnosis, failure mapping, and value alignment. And influence diagnosis and failure mapping are all part of what in traditional sales you would call discovery. Value alignment is what in traditional sales you would call the close, but I don't like calling it close. That is SWOT in a nutshell.
You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a modern approach to winning business, the application of virtual selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. Why not take our free collaborative selling scorecard to see how your sales approach suits today's environment? You'll find a link in the show notes. And welcome to this episode of the Sales Today podcast, where I'm delighted to be joined by Sebastian Hidalgo. He is co-founder of DURINDAL and creator of the SWAT method for selling, which involves elements of hostage negotiation or taken from hostage negotiation. And those of you who know me know that I can be a little bit circumspect of crisis and commercial negotiation coming together. So yeah, it could be a good, fun conversation. But first up, Sebastian. Good day, sir.
Fred. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Yeah, decent. Thank you. Looking forward to this. We had a little chat beforehand, but yeah, I want to try and keep all the good stuff for this. Could you, before we get into the SWOT method, can you give me, and I don't normally ask people to do this, but I think it is relevant in this case, your background, but in relation to this hostage stuff? I think that actually makes sense to understand it.
Okay. That's an interesting story, actually. I've been a certified hostage negotiator since I was 18. And how that came to be is that before I went to university, I had this goal that was becoming a diplomat. I wanted to be an ambassador. I thought it was cool. I wanted to help broker world peace. I had a very idealistic view of what that meant. I thought I was going to be, shaking hands, signing deals, and preventing wars. Anyway, the issue in Italy, which is where I was, is that I was an immigrant and I don't have anybody of my family in diplomacy. So I'm trying to figure out a way to get to where I wanted to be. And somebody tells me, you need a very remarkable career. And by very remarkable, I mean absolutely undeniable and a bit strange too. You need to attract attention somehow with your accomplishment. And I go, well, thank you, but how do I do that? And he goes, well, I know this professor in Rome. He's close to an institution that is with the United Nations and that they are training people to become peacekeepers. That should be your first step. And part of that certification was, I think it was Italy's first hostage negotiation training. And so I called this professor and he doesn't want to do anything with me. He's like, you are a civilian, you are underage, you're 17. You have no business being in this thing. I don't really think you have a chance. And, I've always been selling something in life. So no is no, but I don't really think it's not no. So I told him, so you're telling me there's a chance? He goes, I don't think it's possible. So, well, can you figure it out? And then I'll call you back. He goes, yes, call me back next week. And that one sentence from him starts a full process that lasted 6 months of me calling him weekly or emailing him weekly, trying to figure out, hey, can I get access to this? So after I get pushed back by his assistant and after I keep getting rejected by him, month 6 comes by and he goes, Kit, you are the most stubborn and annoying person I've ever met, but you're also weirdly determined and I like that about you. So I'm going to introduce you to the people who host this training and you're on your own. Everything I can do for you is an introduction. You will meet them and if you qualify, good. If you don't, too bad. So that's the story.
That's cool. I like the persistence. I love the fact that when you were told no, you couldn't do that. So then you went on and you did the training. You went through the training. How long did that take?
That was a full year.
Full year.
Yeah, traveling back and forth. And they had to do a couple exceptions. They have to jump through a couple hoops because of my situation. Luckily, in the middle of that, I turned 18. So that helped. But it was a full year. And it was interesting because I had school. I was still in high school. So I was traveling around. Like, I got a special permission because, it was a very strange story, even at school. So, like, the director of the school was like, okay, I shouldn't be granting you 2 days a week where you don't show up for a year, or a full day a week where you don't show up for a year, but you're doing this thing that looks very important. And we appreciate that in this school because it's excellence. So I will give you a pass. So they give me this pass to be absent from school, like on Fridays, sometimes on Thursday. And I had these extended weekends, but they were not weekends. I was actually doing things. So that's how it went.
Oh, and so you look at this stuff. This was some years ago. Let's do the Scooby-Doo thing. You know, when it goes, and we kind of time jump into sort of now, or into when you've said, actually, my future is in the commercial world. It's in the sales world. I'm going to develop a system that I think will work because it's going to pull in elements of this. Could you talk me through a little bit kind of how that went?
Yes, the full story of that is years later, I was with these people again because I reconnected with them. And, I didn't want to be a diplomat anymore because I realized what that meant. And what happened was that I signed up for PSYOPs training. For people listening, PSYOPs, psychological operations, is ways the military has of creating initiatives that influence big amounts of people. That's what it is in a nutshell. So I'm taking PSYOPs training, and I'm doing it because I'm just drawn by it. I love this whole part of reality. I love it. I'm drawn to this thing. And during the training, and I have this in the book I'm writing. I just finished it, and I don't remember right now what it was, but the trainer said one sentence. And that sentence, I had been already an entrepreneur. I had been selling already. But, I developed this thing where I put that knowledge in a compartment. I didn't know I was consciously using those techniques that I learned years before until he said this one thing. And I go, oh, wait, I've been applying this to sales while telling myself that I was bad at sales. But anyway, if you've been in business on your own for several years, that excludes that you're bad at sales. So I noticed that dissonance, and I noticed, so I am doing something right that I can teach to people. And that's where I started just reverse engineering what I do, that study the sales calls, do this and do that. And in that process, Chris Voss was already the character that he is, like, very famous, never split the difference. Okay, so there is an overlap. And as I found that overlap, I find a gap, which is never split the difference is a negotiation book. It's communication. You can apply it to your children. You can apply it to your wife. You can apply it to your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever. But it's not a sales book, even though it helps in sales. So it's like, okay, there is a market gap where these guys that are very big and very cool, they're former hostage negotiators, but they're not really doing explicitly sales. That's where I find the gap I could feel, which is, I had this skill. I want to use this to develop a methodology that helps people sell in a way that doesn't feel gross, and that turns gross sellers into people that are more pleasant to deal with.
Yeah. Can you remember exactly what the guy said? There was like that trigger, that aha moment where he just sat up and went, "Oh, what?"
I don't think so. I wish I could access now the file in the book, because the quote was there. I think, if I remember correctly, and it might be wrong because there's a couple, like, the book is full of stories from my training, but he was talking about how to operate in that environment. You have to have humility, and you have to have the humility to learn, and to always be willing to adapt your knowledge to something different. I think that's what triggered it. He was talking about humility and about learning, and that's where I had my sort of epiphany.
Yeah. As in, I got it. Yeah, the humility to learn, but then adapt the knowledge. You say, "Hang on a minute, I haven't doing that."
Yes, right. Because this guy, I remember from the hostage negotiation training, he defined hostage negotiation as and he has a book on the topic that's not available anymore, but he calls it the art of flexible creativity. And that title always stuck to me. It's like flexible creativity. And he brought it back that day just to say that, to talk about humility. And I was like, oh, I don't remember what I don't remember is anything he said after that. I just spaced out thinking about business the moment he said that sentence. So if there was anything important, he's listening to this. I'm like, sorry. I hope there was.
If I was somewhere else.
Yeah, there was somewhere else.
I like it. What is it with these hostage people that like flexible creativity, tactical empathy? Do they have to like stick adverbs in? Are they adverbs or the pronouns? I don't know what they are. Whatever, they do that. Because well, can you talk me a little bit through your system? No need to sort of go into the whole thing, but if you can give me the basics of what the SWAT system is, and I can. Oh, well, you know one of my concerns. We'll have a little bit kick around with that.
I'll give you the quickest pitch I can give you, which is SWOT is a sales method split in 4 stages. Those 4 stages are built for you to allow you to earn trust quickly and quicker than you would with other sales methodologies. But they're also built to do one thing that other sales methodologies don't do very well, which is SWOT allows you to position yourself against not just your competitors, but against also past attempts that clients might have tried in the past with something similar to what you sell. Because people are constantly drawing these comparisons. So that's what SWOT is. SWOT is built to be the only methodology that allows you to basically create positioning in a sales interaction without having to wait for positioning to come to you from like a management team or a consultant. Because, I worked in brand strategy and positioning for like 3 years. That's where I learned that. That's where I noticed that it's so hard to get people to adopt a new positioning, but at the same time, they all know they need it. So it is a hard fix on the management level, but on the sales level, on the front line, it is a way easier fix. Because the premise is positioning happens in the mind of your audience. That means that it's happening live as you talk to somebody. That's the connection I made. Now, the 4 stages of SWOT are influence diagnosis, failure mapping, and value alignment. And influence diagnosis and failure mapping are all part of what in traditional sales you would call discovery. Value alignment is what in traditional sales you would call the close, but I don't like calling it close. That is SWOT in a nutshell.
Okay, so influence diagnosis and failure mapping. This sounds as though it is very, very customer centered. You're really putting yourself into their world, trying to understand them, work out what's going on, to then make what you're going to say highly relevant to them, which is where that positioning piece will come, because they'll position you as the person who's gone, hey, you get me?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, helping me get my head around this stuff. This is awesome.
Yes, that's exactly it. And I think salespeople should be diagnosticians and not just people like, I think selling is an act of service. You're doing somebody a favor. You're moving the economy. So I hate that salespeople are hated. And I think we should be seen as doctors, as diagnosticians. We should be seen as people who actually help you solve a problem, because that's what selling is. If you're not helping somebody solve a problem and you still sell to them, you're manipulating them, and that's bad. And ethical selling and all the things that you know about, it's very important to me. Like, we should really fight against every kind of person that helps push this idea of salespeople as sleazy, icky, or manipulative.
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, you don't agree with that. Okay. I'm going to disagree with the doctors thing. I've used the analogy. I like to use it. However, maybe I'm just getting a bit more real in my old age. Doctors do 7+ years of training and CPD every year. Salespeople don't. We can't call ourselves like doctors when we don't get ourselves to that level of professionalism. How can we?
I will hope we did, though. That's why I think I hope that next year I'll be able to build what I call the SWOT Academy. There's 3 levels of SWOT, but I want people who get to the 3rd level to be what in martial arts would be a black belt. That it has to take you at least 18 months to get there. You have to study specific things to get there. You have to commit. Because paradoxically, I do agree with you. Salespeople were not like, we don't get to that level, but it should be aspirational. We should be able to get there, at least try to get there.
No, I mean, we can agree to agree on the aspirations, but sometimes, and maybe I'm just a bit tired and hungry today, and it's just like, no, let's just stop it with the doctor analogies. We're not like doctors. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on what's the word you used around the diagnose. I can't say it. That's why I say that's why I say sense makers.
Sense makers. I like sense makers.
Diagnosticians. I can't say it.
Diagnosticians, yes.
That salesperson sounds a sense maker. You help the customer to make sense out of stuff. Yeah. That isn't by saying, hey, look at my products, look at my catalog. Have you read the website? Have you? Okay. Well, I'm going to now pretend to be the website. That'll work. It's with intelligent questions, with bringing something to the party, shining a light on something, you know, what you would put in the diagnosis piece.
Yes.
We can really make a difference. And then we position ourselves as different, don't we? That guy, that girl, they're different. They're different in the way they do stuff.
Yes. And you know what drives me
I
crazy?
can see myself hanging out with them more.
People who read, like people who like first sales call, they bring a slide, they bring some slides. Like, just put away your PowerPoints. Nobody cares. Something I was asked recently is, do you think I should bring case studies to describe to them at the beginning of the call to establish authority? They're not going to give a damn about your case studies. You haven't even listened to them. You're just talking about yourself. Here's how we help. Here's our client results. It's we. People don't like that.
Yeah. Bring an opinion. Bring a point of view. Bring a piece of information that they might not have, or they might have, and you're showing that you also have it and that you're worth talking to with it.
Yes,
just tell them about the problems you think they have. Now, some people struggle with this. Oh, I can't tell them that. Why? What are you going to tell them then? You can tell what you can do, aren't you? Right. So that is the same as understanding the problem, isn't it? Oh, no, it's not. You're just going to tell about your product. So,
isn't it? You train people in sales, so isn't it beautiful to when you tell people things that create this little mindset shift? It's like they have this look on their face that I love. It's like, oh, never thought about it that way.
Yeah, that kind of half shock, half kind of, oh, that's interesting. I want to know more. Well, yeah, I'll ask you more, so you have to think about it more. Is the trick not to tell people stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it's what I call, is the face of somebody who's building new neural pathways. Yeah. Like it's almost, you can almost see the new neurons in their mind connecting. Like that's fascinating to watch.
I said to every day, I said, I can train sales in any language. And they went, well, what with AI? I went, no, bugger off with AI. No, I can train you in stuff that the customer will say you will know if you're doing the right thing or not. Any language. Hi, you are? I said, yeah. So they might say, nah, they're not really impressed with what you said. They might say, they're still not very impressed with what you say. They might say, no, that's okay. Okay is not really okay, is it? It's not very good, is it? They might say, that's good. Now, you might get very excited with this. I say there's 2 other levels above this. They might say, wow, now we're getting there. The top level is when people, they go, like, fine. Yes, you've opened my mind. You get it. I get it. I can see there's a way forward here. Any language. And that's what you're saying, isn't it? It's that kind of, yes.
Because humans are humans. When somebody feels understood and they feel like the person in front of them does not understand them, but has the solution, they're like, oh, so this is it. It's like the one thing that's been escaping them for months, like, oh, now it's showtime.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, this kind of diagnosis, helping them diagnose. Not that, because I think there's a difference between sales that I was probably brought up with and trained in, where I'm going to diagnose so I can now solution. Yeah. Oh, well done me. Aren't I clever? It's not that. It's that collaborative diagnosing alongside together piece, isn't it? So that we're sorting this stuff out like parts.
Yes, because sometimes they come to you with a problem that they think is a problem, but it's like a symptom. It's like a surface level thing. If you move them like down what's going on, they will understand that, okay, this other thing is going on. And that's why if I fix, it's like the crux of the problem. If I fix this one thing, all the others will become easier to fix. So it's like, yes, I agree.
Yeah. So where is the hostage stuff coming into this? What are some of the skills or the techniques that you've learned doing that you're bringing into that's what way of selling?
My hostage negotiation trainer told me once that simplicity is the way to constant victory. And that stuck with me because one of the most powerful things, and you will agree with this, that you can do in sales, it is something that gets taught to hostage negotiators, like in day one, which is listening, the act of listening. And if I have a student that's a very like an A type that needs to talk, that's very extroverted, or that maybe needs to like teach, I'll go wait, I'll tell them, take notes. Why? Well, I can remember everything. I don't care if you can remember everything. Take notes because that will force you to listen actively. Your brain will process the information differently if you take notes. Now, the tools, the basic tools that I apply that you'll see is something that you'll see also like reading Never Split the Difference. So, mirroring, active listening is what in intelligence work is called elicitation. And elicitation is these little things you say that get people to just keep providing you information, like to get deeper into telling you their problems and analyzing their own problems. So that's the basic. There is one trick that I will not reveal here, but that I call, and it is a trick literally, but I call identity anchoring, which is a way that I use to prevent objections. It's like I get somebody to qualify themselves as something that matches what I'm offering. So that way they will not object against it when I offer it. And I always tell people to be very careful with that, because it's a gray line that you shouldn't toe. And the ability to think, back to flexible creativity is the ability to think on the spot. I think you should come in, like, if you're a salesperson, you're an expert on the thing that you sell, you shouldn't come in with like a scripted pitch of what you're going to sell to them. Just be able to think on the spot and just mold it around the thing that they need. That, there's many ways to skin a cat, right? It's like a startup founder asked me during a training the other day, oh, well, but how do I do with a demo? Because my product is my product. And I go, well, how many problems does your product solve? And she tells me like a list of 5 things. It's like, those are at least 5 different angles you can run a demo from. Instead of running a demo through all the features of the platform, just have a conversation with them beforehand, try to see what they need, tailor your demo to that. It's like, that's the ability to think on the spot that students learn over time as they practice and they sell more. It's like, okay, I don't have to just focus on the slides or on the demo. I can just talk to them a bit and then move on to tailoring this thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I was giggling when you said about the thing of like, I'm going to tell you something now, guys. Now you could use this for good or bad. Promise me you won't do it for bad. If you want to get a group to sit up and listen to you, that's pretty much 100% guaranteed. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, there's a bad side to what I'm going to show you. Oh, awesome. Let's do it. Everybody wants to listen to you. Terrible.
It's like the 48 Laws of Power, right? That book became extremely popular because it's like, here's everything you shouldn't do. It's like, this is manipulation. Don't read this book. Everybody's like, oh,
quick,
go
buy it. Yeah. Yeah. It's no, it's good. And look, I can imagine that there are plenty of skills, tactics, techniques, whatever you want to call them. I mean, when we chatted before, so the question's coming. I'm not trying to hijack you here. I said I do have a bit of a problem with the hostage negotiation thing, or to put it in kind of broader terms, that crisis negotiation is not commercial negotiation, and there are just some things which are different, don't map over, are a bit sensationalist and maybe good for PR and stuff, but not particularly helpful in the business world. I'd love your opinion on that.
I think you're right.
Oh, excellent. Good. Right, finished.
Finished, right? Let's go. Let's go grab a beer. I think you're right, meaning the skills transfer, part of them, because we're talking about humans. But first of all, crisis negotiation is life and death. Commercial negotiation is rational and organizational. Crisis negotiation is done to preserve life, whereas commercial negotiation is about creating value and capturing value. It's an exchange. In hostage negotiation, there's no exchange. Like, yes, you might give me a hostage, you might release a couple in exchange for like something, but in the end, the ultimate goal is I am selling you jail time and you're gonna say yes. That's hostage negotiation. Commercial negotiation is structured. It follows, you book it in advance. Things tend to there is a power hierarchy. Crisis negotiation is inherently unpredictable. Like nobody's going to warn you 5 days in advance. Hey, I'm going to take hostage 5 people at the bank. So come prepared, read your books, drill some like mirroring. It's not going to happen. It's immediate and you have to be on the spot there. And crisis negotiation has extremely compressed time frames, whereas commercial negotiation is a longer time frame. It takes time. Everybody who sold B2B or especially enterprise knows that a deal might take 8 months to manifest. And there's things you can do to shorten that. You never turn that into a week or two because it's just the nature of the business. Now, we're going to the overlaps because I bet that would be the follow-up question. The overlaps are one, reducing friction.
What technique did you just use on me there where you told me what my question was going to be?
No technique, at least no public disclosed technique.
All right. Yeah, you have to buy the book.
Well, I wish the book was out so I could promote it, but it isn't.
Yeah.
So I think the overlaps are that when you apply like SWAT, right? It's a methodology built, which your question is part of one of my few like concerns when it came to reading Never Split the Difference, and they mention sales. I go, okay, you mentioned that these techniques will increase your close rate and everything else, but salespeople like structure in what they do. Business needs structure. You cannot just walk into a sales team, hey, use some mirroring and labeling, and you close more. There needs to be some different level of, repeated third time, structure. So I think what the overlaps allow you to do, whether you have the structure or not, is reduce friction, uncover potential blockers early, and it allows you to create the emotional conditions before you present the rational arguments. Now, I would also say that my main goal when I'm selling is that you see me as a strategic partner, not as another vendor. It's like, here's another consultant that will come his team. They will say, promise the world, and they'll do nothing about my problem. I want to be your strategic partner. So that's where I see the overlaps. And one of the things that's really useful that you get taught is the ability, again, to think on the spot. Like the ability to stay calm under pressure, to read the other person, which is a big thing, and see when you messed up. Like you said, these little intonations, the little reactions. You have to be able to read somebody else and be attuned to them, rather than be all here. And I've been recently through a sales call with a TV show. I won't say for what because then they'll connect the dots if they ever watch this, and I don't want to talk down on anybody. But we had 2 sales calls with them, and both sales calls were one was, say, in August, and the other was in late September. The first person shows up unprepared, didn't do any research about us, messed up 5 things, and all they did was read the slides. We talked to the CEO of the company. He's very sorry that he almost lost us because of that, and he sent somebody else in, which is their top seller. And I'll give it to the guy. Great seller. His issue was pulled up the slide deck, started reading everything, didn't do research beforehand either, and asked us probably 3 questions at the end. And of course, didn't close. It's like so many sales problems that are so many closes that would be way easier to secure if we just got out of these bad habits. And I don't know how I ended up here, by the way, but that's the story.
Yeah. No. And because I was asking you about my concern with crisis and commercial. And
yes.
I really do like the way that you said, no, they are different. They are different, but there are overlaps. I think when people are trying to say, oh, well, no, because actually you can never split the difference. I mean, never split the difference is a brilliant title. It makes lots of sense. But actually, from a commercial point of view, sometimes it makes total sense to split the difference. So, but good, that's book titling. That's a different,
Of course.
thing.
Sometimes you have to, right? Like sometimes you do have to reach a compromise. Sometimes you do have to like meet in the middle. Yes, the title is great. As a rule, it's not that great.
I just be careful what have they done to create that middle. And they anchored low and pulled you down. I'll tell you what, it'll be fair to meet in the middle and use all sorts of other language patterns and whatever. But no, there are some bits which are totally different. I like the way you've set that out, and I like the way, by the sounds then, that you are saying, look, yes, I do use some of this stuff, but I am also firmly rooted in the commercial sales world. It's just that some bits are helpful over here. You know what? On the training course, we might talk about something for professional sport as well.
Yes,
Because it
here's the
just
thing.
helps us. It helps us to get the idea over, doesn't it? So,
The thing is bias, meaning all of us are biased, and when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That's when you see the like when people tell you, "Oh, this overlaps 100%, and you can totally apply everything." No, now you have a hammer and you're seeing everything as a nail.
yeah.
I think my perspective just comes from the fact that I'm a guy trained in these things, but I've also been long enough in the enterprise and business and B2B world to see that reality is quite different, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I just was able to split the two things, because once you
Split the
enter the
difference.
business for a while, split the difference.
Made the difference by splitting the two. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, cool. It is, isn't it? And I am a big fan of pulling things in from other areas in which we can then just get better at the thing we're trying to do. It'd be short-sighted not to do that. Okay, so you said you have a book coming out, so you finished writing it.
Yes.
When do you think when's that gonna hit ours?
I don't know. I've been torn on this because my previous book was self-published, but given who my competitors are, I would love to go the traditional route. So if there's anybody listening that knows a literary agent, or there's any literary agent listening, I am looking for an agent because I like to go the traditional route, because I don't have the social media platform where I can say, hey, I will just self-publish it and it will sell. Or I don't even have the platform that I could say, hey, if I self-publish it and give it away for free, 2 million people will get it. So I love to have a publisher that supports with distribution. That's the main reason, and if the time is not right for the market for an agent, I just self-publish it. But let's say that in Q1 next year, I like to have an agent. I like to have close a book deal by Q3, and then that will depend on the publisher when it's out. So I guess somewhere 2027.
Well, you'll definitely have to come back on your book tour, and we will talk more about some of this stuff. Okay, then. So, where can people get in touch with you then? Where is the best place if they're an literary agent, obviously, or they've heard some of the stuff you talk about, want to ask you some more questions, they'd be keen to explore SWAT selling?
So
Best place.
best place to get in touch with me. If you want to get in touch with me, LinkedIn is for now the best place. If you want to contact me directly, Sebastian@durindal.com. Durindal is spelled DURINDAL.com. If not, it's LinkedIn, Sebastian DP Hidalgo. You find me there. I don't have time to post every day, but sometimes I do post often. But I reply to messages. So want to get in touch, reach out on LinkedIn.
We can pop that. We can put that into the show notes. People can find that easily. So, Sebastian, awesome to chat. There are some probably more things that I'll save up probably for another time. But thank you for coming on, sharing some of your thinking and your story. Actually, his backstory is lovely, and that way you're breaking those things down. Hopefully, people will find that useful and get their own heads around stuff.
Thank
That
you.
makes sense of stuff a little bit. Eh?
It was great being here. Great questions, by the way. I love them. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Fred.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening to the Sales Today podcast with me, your host, Fred Copestake. I hope you've enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please get in touch and hit subscribe. And remember, you can take the Collaborative Selling Scorecard for free to check out how your sales approach works in today's environment. You'll find it in the show notes.